That desperate search for missing teens in Washington, D.C. Nearly a dozen Black and Latina girls reported missing in recent days, and authorities are now trying to raise awareness. ABC's Lindsay Davis is in Washington with the very latest on this story. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Amy. This is a storyline that primarily gained traction online, and there are those in social media who say that Tom Brady's missing jersey got more coverage than these missing girls. But D.C. police say it's not a matter that more girls are missing. They say they're simply doing a better job of getting the word out when people do go missing. These are the alarming posts catching the attention of social media users across the country. A series of tweets by Washington, D.C. police asking to help find nearly a dozen Black teenage girls reported missing over the course of just 3 days.
All of a sudden, we started having a lot of young females missing.
Those teens are among 38 people in total now listed as missing, some of them described as critically missing on D.C.'s Metropolitan Police site, many of them young Blacks or Latino teenage girls.
Any child gone missing, it should be known that there's a possibility that this child could be hurt.
Hundreds of concerned citizens packed an emotional town hall meeting Wednesday night, worried all these vanished teens represent a disturbing spike in crime, and question if Black and Latino girls are being targeted.
We can't go nowhere by ourselves. We can't do nothing because we have to keep worrying about somebody trying to take us.
But city officials explain there aren't more missing teens, there's just more awareness. Part of a new effort by a police department often accused of overlooking cases of missing people of color.
I just implemented a process to ensure that all critical missing persons receive the same level of police service and media attention.
According to D.C. police, all 38 people currently missing walked away voluntarily, and 4 of the 8 in the initial tweet that garnered so much attention have since been located. But the concern is that those who are still missing may now be in real danger.
When they go missing, guess what? You have a child out there, and there are people in our community that will prey on those children.
The concern is if authorities don't publicize their cases, they could end up like 8-year-old Relisha Rudd. Until a few weeks ago, she was the only missing person listed on the department site after she vanished 3 years ago this month. Her mother spoke to a local station at the time.
Come back home to your mother safely and unharmed, and I love you.
Seen here just days before her disappearance, many felt Relisha's case didn't get enough coverage. She has never been found.
That community had no idea that this was an issue that was going on in their own backyard. And by the police being transparent and putting out all missing person cases, it brings about awareness.
Now, many of these cases don't end up rising to the level of an Amber Alert, and that's something that some in the Black community point to as a sign that when Black children go missing, they simply don't get the same attention and coverage as when white children go missing. But the police chief here points out that under the current guidelines, an Amber Alert can only be issued if it's believed that the child has been abducted or that they're in imminent danger of injury or death. Amy.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. And joining us now is ABC News consultant and former FBI Special Agent Brad Garrett and ABC News senior legal correspondent Sunny Hostin. Thank you both for being with us. And Brad, residents in D.C. understandably alarmed at this news. What stands out to you about this particular case or these cases?
Well, one of the keys, Amy, is actually figuring out, and the police chief alluded to it, as to who is actually in deep trouble while they're missing. 2,000 kids go missing a day. That's 800,000 a year. The vast majority within hours or days are found. So you've got to sort out where can these kids potentially be and are they in harm's way? And that's going to be the real key. And it does take a lot of energy to get to that end point.
All right. And Sunny, we mentioned that residents are understandably alarmed, but they're also understandably outraged at the lack of attention these stories often get. Why the discrepancy?
Well, there certainly is a disparity between when you have a missing person of color and a missing white person. Gwen Ifill, I think, coined the term missing white woman syndrome to explain this lack of coverage when there is a missing person of color. But I think it really starts in the way that they are classified. If someone is classified as a runaway, they certainly don't get media attention. They do not get police attention. They need to be classified very, very quickly as either missing or kidnapped, and then you will get the media attention that is needed.
So it starts with law enforcement.
I do believe that it starts with law enforcement, and this mislabeling between runaway and missing makes them more susceptible to human sex trafficking. 40% of people that are missing are in this human sex trade, but because they aren't covered, these cases aren't covered, it makes them more susceptible to being taken.
So disturbing. And Brad, given what Sonny just said, what can investigators do to find these girls given the amount of time that's transpired?
The key with kids this age, Amy, are social media and phones. That's how they communicate. I'm going to guess if they still have access to either one of those, they're going to communicate with people that are in their circle. The real key is going to be for the police to have a network amongst social media, amongst their relatives, in every common place this child has a history. Because let's face it, a 13 or 14-year-old doesn't have a ways and means of protecting themselves or funding anything, and so they're going to be connected to someone.
All right, well, we certainly hope these families get their answers. Brad Garrett, Sonny Hostin, thank you.